Hello, I'm Zash, and welcome to episode 44 of my Senjou no Maou, or The Devil on G-String, Let's Read. Joining me, as always, is my co-reader Faith. If you were skipping the canon ending, you can continue watching now, as it is over, much to our relief. Now, we will see what Maou had planned for canon. And I'm not hoping it's firing her from a cannon anymore, because I don't hate canon as much after seeing her ending. Don't get me wrong, I still don't like her, but I don't want her to die in a fire anymore. Anyways, please enjoy this episode. Avoid the subject this time. Ellipses. I cleared my throat. Sorry, Kanon, but can it wait for another time?
Is that what you want?
Yes, I'm sorry. I tried to be as cold as possible.
It's no big deal. Sorry for acting all strange.
Like you said, I'm pretty busy.
Yeah, I know.
Okay then. Great. You should take your bath now.
Yep.
She hurried into the changing room. Ellipses. I don't feel anything. The snow outside is constantly changing. It falls silently and will disappear by morning. I've always looked at Kanon as a source of income. That's all. And she'll never be anything more than that.
That is admittedly pretty sad, actually. I still don't like her, but that's sad.
My head hurt so much, I swore my skull was about to burst. I decided to get to sleep early today. I flipped open the newspaper after seeing Kanon off the next morning. Even though Kanon was making headlines in the sports section, my interest really laid elsewhere. The conflict between the Sonoyama and Shin'ei groups was escalating. Late last night, a firefight erupted in the vicinity of Central Boulevard. One man from Shin'ei was dead, and two Sonoyama men were in intensive care after sustaining bullet wounds. Even our legitimate businesses are suffering from this incident. Nothing piles the work on my desk like following revenues at clubs downtown. The stress it's giving me might be what's causing the headaches that have been brutalizing my vision. However, if Maou wanted to act, he wouldn't waste today's chance. Kanon's performance doesn't start until around 8 tonight, but the sooner we get Senjou to spill the beans, the better. Surely no one would start a shootout in broad daylight, but I still have to be certain to make sure I'm not targeted. I still have to be careful to make sure I'm not targeted.
Sup?
Tokita isn't here yet?
Yuki has a hard time waking up in the morning.
It's noon, Usami. I know any friend of hers couldn't be normal.
Anyway, want to hear what I found last night?
Sure, shoot.
I was poking around the hotel Senjou had been living in, and I found his luggage.
Anything interesting in there?
A few things caught my eye. He had his passport and a plane ticket in there. The ticket was for a flight today.
He was going to flee by plane? Where was he headed?
The ticket's for Hong Kong.
So, he was leaving the country. If the ticket was for today, then that means he was planning on taking some action today and getting the hell out immediately after.
Yes, and one doesn't flee the country over any old crime. It must have been something big.
Something so big the police would show up immediately?
Yeah.
Well, if he considered the possibility that Maou may attempt an escape as well, we should set up a patrol at the airport.
Do you have the men to spare?
Try watching the news for once. Yes. If you haven't noticed, we're pretty much fighting a war right now. The Sonoyama group has over 1,000 members, all on standby due to the current conflict. Of course, this figure is inflated somewhat by the inclusion of street hoodlums, associates and such. But naturally, even these members weren't spared from the harsh duties during wartime. How many people have been mobilized for Kanon by now, I wonder?
Have you been targeted yet, Asai-san?
Not many people know my face. I've been posing as a normal student, after all.
Just promise me you'll be careful, alright?
Don't worry. Gonzo wouldn't give a damn if I was taken hostage. I think everyone's caught on to that by now.
That sounds really lonely.
Ellipses.
Oopsies.
Why is this joker staring at me?
Alright, I'm here.
I heard a voice and turned around to find Tokita. Do you think you're late enough?
Haru's the one who didn't come wake me up. What? I gave you 5 wake-up calls. But you used to come to my house. I don't know where you live.
Stop going back and forth with this crap. Let's go already. We passed through the narrow alleys of Central Boulevard and headed toward the building that held Senjou. Hey, Tokita, don't forget what you promised yesterday, okay? Tokita flashed me a confident smile.
It'll be a breeze. Just kick back and enjoy the show.
Megalipses. Ellipses. Hey, Tokita, think you could be any later? The moment Tokita sat down, Senjou screamed. What the hell? You said you were only taking a break. What the fuck are you trying to pull here? Tokita frowned and glanced at Senjou apologetically.
I'm so very sorry. Did something happen while I was away?
What a clever response. The guy's not only been left alone, but he's been given booze, 3 square meals a day, and nap time for God's sake. Anything more and he'd be in a jacuzzi at the Ritz with high-class hookers.
Actually, I have some unfortunate news.
What? What happened? Tokita shook her head and let her gaze fall. After letting a good amount of time pass, she finally responded.
Those people, well, it doesn't seem that they want to release you.
Senjou was speechless. Tokita's tone was full of sincerity, yet it still bore gravity.
I'm truly very sorry.
She seemed to pale somewhat, as if to pretend she had spent the past 24 hours bargaining for his freedom. However, Tokita's words weren't a lie. It's crystal clear that Senjou isn't going to be released. Yuki was also honest when she first met with Senjou, introducing herself as Usami's friend. Perhaps telling the truth is some sort of rule of negotiation.
Even so, I came back since we're still negotiating. I think there's still hope. Yeah, we should be able to win this as long as we have something to strike a deal with.
A deal? Senjou stared unblinkingly at Tokita.
Right, we can strike a deal as long as we have something with enough value for them to release you.
You mean the info about Mao's plans, huh? Like I said yesterday, He cut himself off. Look, there's no guarantee that I'll be released when I talk. Is there?
Kyosuke,
Tokita suddenly called my given name without an honorific.
tell them what kind of deal you can make.
Tokita must be trying to demonstrate her power to Senjou. So I'm forced to be the bad guy. That it? If you don't talk, you'll be killed. However, if you tell us about Maou, this thing will blow over smoothly. I'm the son of the head of the Sonoyama group. I'll probably inherit this position. You can take my word as the organization's word. I just pulled stuff out of my ass. Tokita, who's on a first-name basis with the son of the group's leader, turned back to Senjou.
That's what he told me earlier, too. I pushed for something more reasonable since you care far too much about honor to talk, but...
Senjou kept silent. Silence is probably the only thing he can manage. His pupils erratically focused on the floor as he ground his teeth.
How about this?
Having used a low voice, as if whispering to him alone, Tokita immediately got his attention. Senjou's eyes quickly switched back to her as he listened intently.
Let's pick up from where we left off yesterday, Senjou-san.
At some point, she cast off her reverent and respectful diction and shifted her pose forward.
Do you still remember what we talked about yesterday?
We were talking about me.
Right. I want to know about what you wanted to do today. There's no pressing need for you to talk about Maou.
Ellipses.
In the end, you'd only be talking about your own actions. How am I supposed to know if you let a part of Mao's plan slip?
Tokita must be trying to say, I'm the only one that won't scorn you.
It'll all be okay. Everything will be okay if you just tell the truth. And you're a fan of the truth, right? I thought you were tired of all the lies and deceit in this world. Was I mistaken?
This is probably the coup de grace. These abstract yet tangible words will inflate his sense of greatness and stimulate his pride.
Please, this is the last chance. Please give me something to work with.
After that came the silence. Senjou's feet started to shake, and after keeping his head hung low for so long, he finally lifted it to stare at Tokita. Senjou flashed me an expression of horror before relaxing his shoulders with a look of exhaustion. At length, he opened his trembling lips. The target is Azai Kanon. The original plan was to throw a bomb onto the ice. A bomb? I couldn't help but scream out. Usami spoke up quickly as well.
I checked your luggage and you didn't have any materials suited to explosives production.
Senjou suddenly clammed up. I suppose it may have had something to do with the appearance of Usami, the target of his hatred.
Won't you tell me more, Senjou-san? You're a man who keeps his promises, aren't you?
I was to receive the bomb on site.
From Maou?
Senjou didn't answer, but it was as good a confirmation as any.
Azai-san, is it even possible to smuggle a bomb into the arena?
I don't know much about bombs, but can't you make pretty small ones these days? Seems like it'd be a cinch. All you have to do is stash it in your pocket and walk right in. There are searches at the entrance, but that's more for things like cameras. They won't actually do a thorough inspection of your personal belongings. Unable to control myself, I inched closer to Senjou. Why? Why Kanon? That's not something I would know. I'm just helping a friend.
Calm down, Azai-san. This is directly related to Mao's original goal.
What?
This threat was all about forcing a loss on Kanon from the very beginning.
So, you're saying he's resorted to direct violence? I don't know too much about the power of a bomb, but if Kanon's injured at all, she's done for. When? When were you planning to detonate the bomb? I don't know the specifics. Don't fuck with me. Tokita's hand stopped me.
He's not lying, I promise you. He said he was going to throw the bomb onto the ice, right? That means it has to be during either Kanon's warm-up or her performance itself. What are the points at which she's out there skating?
Usami also pressed closer to Senjou.
And did you say just now that you were going to receive the bomb on site?
Yeah?
Does that mean you've met with Maou in the past?
Right. How was the handoff supposed to go down? I've never seen him before. Our first meeting was supposed to be today. He scratched his nose while talking.
Where were you going to rendezvous? Inside the arena? Outside?
Inside.
At the concession stalls? The restroom? A seat?
He said he'd contact me with the meeting place at a certain time.
And when would that be?
Around 8. He said all I had to do was wait at my seat until the phone rang. Usami kept on nodding.
Alright, one last question. Do you think he tried to accomplish this task even without your help?
At last, Senjou cracked up. Of course, Usami! He hates what figure skating has become. There's no way he'll forgive an insolent little girl like Azai Kanon. His laughter only grew louder and more maniacal, reverberating around the room. Ha! Yeah, he'll absolutely go through with it. And it's no use. Even if I tell you everything I know, Mao's way too smart for you. Even if I'm captured, he'll just formulate a new plan to outwit you. Mao's already killed 2 people, and yet the police don't even know he exists. Yeah, no matter what I say, it won't change anything. It sounds as if he's trying to defend his weakness for confessing. He's killed 2 people? I pressed over, closer to Senjou. Who was the second? I thought it was only that designer. Huh? You still don't know? The other was that ballet dancer. He was pushed into the sea. So that's what happened. There. Now hurry up and release me. You're going to keep your promise, right, Tokita?
You haven't told us everything, Senjou-san.
She shook her head.
There's something you're trying to keep from us.
Ellipses.
You know, like what Mao looks like.
Senjou's eyebrow twitched.
It must be true that you've never met. However, if you were to meet, why didn't he tell you any features to identify him by?
Huh. Fine. He'll be wearing a wool cap. Mao's a tall, thin man wearing a black wool cap.
Thank you very much.
Tokita blossomed with a gentle smile that I haven't seen before.
Goodbye. We'll probably never meet again.
What did he say? Senjou's eyes widened in shock. Wait, you...
You tried to tear my Haru to pieces with a knife.
Tokita spoke harshly.
I didn't lie. I'm really not a lawyer.
I thought you were here to save me.
Yeah, well, about that. You killed your own sister, but didn't try to atone at all. The only way to save someone like that is...
Tokita's gaze was flashing bewitchingly.
Well, you understand, right?
Senjou didn't move a single inch. He just maintained that glare. All that remained was a sad man, harshly beaten far too many times. The sky had already started to darken.
I'm glad to have met you, Kyosuke-kun.
Tokita wanted to shake hands with me. You were a big help. I guess I owe you one.
That won't be necessary, right, Haru? Yes, ma'am.
Usami was saluting for some reason.
It seems like the two of you have quite the ordeal coming up. Good luck.
Tokita waved as she disappeared into the crowds of the lavish streets. First things first, I'll report to Gonzo.
Azar-san, do you have tickets for the event tonight?
Oh, right. You can have mine. Go ahead. I'll meet you there.
I'll keep watch at the entrance for now.
Sounds logical. Mel might already be in the arena, though.
Alright, let's split.
Usami ran off with an excessively high-strung voice. Whew. My entire body is sore. My fever is acting up again, and now of all time. I stormed into Gonzo's estate and quickly explained the situation.
I'm sending every last man we've got to surround Shanae's group's headquarters tonight at 9. I can't spare any people.
I realize the situation with Shanae is of the utmost concern, but Kanon's life is at risk.
The order has already been issued. I'll be overseeing the event personally. We can't stop the operation at this stage.
Right, but...
You can take the house guard if you want.
But are you going to be alright? Very well. I've already prepared 10 tickets, so we should be ready to move. Just give Horibe the plan, and leave the details to him. Use him well. Gonzo appears to be on a high in the face of the upcoming hunt. I contacted Horibe and headed toward the arena. It's already near 6 o'clock. Famous skaters from overseas are battling it out on the ice, and the crowd is boiling to a heated frenzy.
Sorry, Azai-san.
Though we were nearly drowning in a sea of people, I was able to meet up with Usami.
I didn't spot anyone who might be Maou. There's a chance I might have missed him.
This crowd makes it easy to miss someone. According to Senjou's confession, Maou was supposed to be wearing something like a black wool cap, right?
Yeah, but there'd be no reason for him to wear it the whole time.
Right. I suppose not. Hats are pretty conspicuous.
At this rate, we'll just have to wait until Kanon's performance to begin the battle.
I understand. But first, on the off chance that Mao's somewhere nearby, let's split up and look around. He's a tall, thin young man, right?
Yeah, but randomly searching doesn't sound very efficient. Still, I guess it's the only thing we can do at this point.
Yeah. Let's do a loop and meet back here. Megalipses. Ellipses. Horibe-san, how are things on your end? 8 Soniyama men were scattered around the area, including Horibe. We spoke over the phone.
Well, not too good, son. Until we get a better description of the guy, we're groping around in the dark. Lean young men are a dime a dozen.
Yeah, I know. Sorry I can't give you anything else to go on. Yeah, that description might match Kyosuke.
Oh, yeah,
It's okay. I'm sure this mess has got you real anxious, son. Just contact me when you get a new lead.
Of course I'm anxious. After all, if I don't do something... motherfuck. Another headache.
Azai-san, are you alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just fed up with my own stupidity.
Come on, don't be so hard on yourself. Sometimes just doing what you can turns out to be quite useful. In fact, I think I just had an epiphany concerning Mao's plans.
What was it?
Well, it pertains to an issue we hadn't addressed earlier. How do you suppose Senjou was to throw the bomb onto the ice?
I don't know. But what's so special about the way he'll throw it? I tried to adjust my blurry vision by kneading the bridge of my nose.
Are you sure that you're okay?
Yeah, don't worry about me. Just tell me about your epiphany.
Well, have a look at that stall.
Usami pointed in the direction of a nearby kiosk.
It's a flower shop, correct?
Yeah? What about it? Usami suddenly grunted.
You really must be in bad shape.
I told you not to worry.
Very well. Remember that Senjou had a ticket to Hong Kong. That implies he intended to escape after his crime, correct?
Sure.
Yuki would likely have been hurt if I'd spoken up to her about it at the time, but Senjou's confession as it stood was too outrageous to be true. The scenario was completely unrealistic. It would be literally impossible to escape the arena after openly throwing a bomb onto the ice.
Yeah, you're probably right. There's plenty more security here today than just our Yakuza.
Exactly. If he were to throw a bomb from his seat, he'd be brought down in seconds.
I think I'm beginning to understand her.
However, from what I've seen, there is one particular moment during which the spectators are free to approach the rink and throw something onto it.
I gave a firm, slow nod. The flower toss.
You got it. After each performance is over, the fans throw flowers into the rinks from their seats.
You've really been thinking about this.
Kanon is the most popular Japanese skater right now. I'd be willing to bet that the rink is flooded after her performance.
Along with that flood, a bomb will be thrown onto the ice in the guise of a bouquet of flowers. And knowing how much people love Kanon, I'm sure the flowers thrown tonight will rival a small garden. Thus, it will be impossible to see who threw what. Of course, if the police were to investigate, it would be a relatively simple matter to identify the assassin by examining trajectories and the arena seating plan. But if that person flees overseas before the analysis comes back with any results, it'll again be difficult to chase and catch them. So, what next?
I'd say despite this pandemonium, if we don't find Maou before Kanon's performance ends, it's all over.
Easier said than done, Usami.
I'll stay near the flower stall and keep an eye on things for a while.
That'll be a waste of time if he smuggled flowers of his own in. And flowers aren't necessarily the only option. Lots throw stuffed animals onto the rink as well.
Senjou was planning to make contact with Maou at around 8.
I guess that's when our match will be decided. The skaters are warming up around then, and the spectators are free to roam about the arena.
However,
Usami shook her head, unsatisfied.
I can't shake the feeling that we're one step behind on this one.
And how's that? The intel from Senjou has brought us a long way, wouldn't you say?
I suppose that's true, but
Usami grew silent, lost in thought. What? Are you scared?
no.
If you're scared, Usami, you could always escape.
What are you talking about? Escape never works on the Demon Lord himself.
Usami walked toward the flower stall with a smirk on her face. I need to get searching too. Kanon's life is at stake after all. She may be a little short-tempered, but she's a simple, honest girl deep down. There aren't many who understand her, but I, at least, have no choice but to accept her wholeheartedly. Because, even if it's only in name, I'm Kanon's brother. Ugh. Why now? God damn it, my head hurts. Megalipses. Ellipses. Now then. I checked the hands of my watch. There are still 15 minutes before 8 o'clock. But still, all communications from Senjou has ceased. What should I make of that? Did he spill the proverbial beans on our plan? If so, how much did he tell? I suppose that's the more critical question. Did he tell them I'd be wearing a wool cap? Oh well. I'll make my move. I will give you a glorious death. I took the cap out of my pocket and donned it as I walked down the corridor.
Tensions inside were running a record high. After all, Azai Kanon would soon take to the ice. The favorite to win, bearing all of Japan's hopes and expectations, showed herself in the rink. Amongst the passionately cheering masses, Haru's shoulder was suddenly grabbed.
Have you seen the young master?
It was Haribe. No, I called him just a moment ago, but he didn't pick up.
The crowd's screwing with everyone's signal reception.
Haru was worried. Kyosuke had been white as a ghost the last time she saw him, and he could barely keep standing. Look, we're almost out of time. We'll just have to take care of this without him. I'm sure Azai-san is doing his best to find Maou as well.
Alright, a black wool cap, right?
Yes. We can't afford to let him get away this time, no matter the circumstances. Haru exchanged phone numbers with Haribe. A test call between them went through, albeit barely. Perhaps their phone models had good compatibility with each other, or they were just using the same service provider. Haru weaved through the crowds, keeping her eyes on every lurking corner. It was now precisely 8 o'clock. The skaters were practicing on the ice, gliding around and launching themselves into the air. The monstrous audience cheered and applauded whenever one of these jumps was completed successfully. Haru made her way to a row of seats very close to the ice as she intently watched Kanon dash across the rink. For a moment, she thought that their gazes met. However, Kanon didn't seem to recognize her at all.
She's got her game face on.
Was she too deep in concentration? It was entirely possible, seeing how even the actions of the other skaters didn't seem to register with her. Haru turned her head as she meandered through the rows of seats. There! A black wool cap. And that silhouette. That unforgettable silhouette. This was without a doubt the man who'd escaped her by a hair's width on Central Boulevard. Haru followed the man in the aisles with her eyes. She charged forward, dialed Haribe's number, and put the cell to her ear. Fortunately, it connected right away. Haribe-san, can you hear me?
I see him!
Haru asked for confirmation while continuing her pursuit. You see him?
I'm chasing him right now!
Fantastic. Haru's step got even lighter. Haribe seems to have locked onto Maou as well, so surely, this time, she'll... Haribe yelled, panting.
He's at the concession stand! Looks like our man was going to wait for Senjou in the snack line!
And? Haru's mind suddenly went blank. How? She stopped dead in her tracks. But... he's right in front of me. Mao's right over there.
Huh. Usami should be drowning in confusion and helplessness right about now. The only lead she has was the cap, but there are dozens of men in the arena wearing one at the moment. My decoys were chosen according to their height, one similar to my own. There's an area in this town that serves as a sort of community for foreigners who have come here to work away from home. As long as one is willing to pay, it's a simple matter to gather a group of ready and willing henchmen. I gave them tickets, ordered them to wear the caps, and told them to wander around the arena wearing a large black coat. I'm sure every last one of them thinks all Japanese look alike, but I was still careful to make sure they didn't see my face during our dealings. Their fees were paid entirely in old bills with non-sequential serial numbers. One would be hard-pressed to pull a lead out of the decoys. So, what are you going to do next, Usami?
Another cap? Ribe's voice was getting closer. One had been spotted near the entrance, one beside the washroom. The arena was rapidly flooded by men in black wool caps. What a nightmare! Uneasiness started to set in. She had already figured that Maou would hatch some sort of plan. After all, if he is aware of Senjou's capture, and he would have no other choice. Maou had probably planned this whole charade after realizing that Senjou would leak information regarding the cap. No, Mao's Japanese. Yes, I'm sure. Calm down, Haru. Haru reprimanded herself as she crashed into spectators all through the crowded passageways of the arena. She chased the cap closest to her. There shouldn't be too many of them. She began to think out loud to Haribe. Maou was using foreigners as decoys. Naturally, this was to hide himself. However, he couldn't have prepared more than a dozen tickets or so. It'd be too eye-catching if he bought over 20 tickets at an auction. Even if he used multiple usernames at an online auction, the police could pin them down to one person if they investigated the matter. And in any case, it was very unlikely that this was an impromptu plan Maou concocted on the spot. This crime was originally intended to be carried out by Senjou alone. Senjou's failure forced a change of plans upon Maou. And there hasn't been enough time since his capture to prepare a full-blown scenario shift. We just need to calm down and get them one by one. The warm-up period will be over soon. When the competition resumes, the crowd in the halls will subside. However, that also means Haru and the Soniyama men won't be able to move around as conspicuously as they are now. Haru felt the stare of a security guard as she finally arrived at the next wool cap. No dice. She quietly glanced at his face and discovered blue eyes. He didn't react to Haru's proximity either. He'd probably just been ordered to wander around. Just in case, she talked to him, but the foreign words he replied with weren't in Mao's voice.
Ellipses. Megalipses. According to my observations, I'd say there were 10 people chasing me, including Usami. The performance was about to begin, and the audience was hushed in anticipation. If someone ran around now, they'd attract attention. Kanon will be the third skater on the ice. I'd say it'll be about 15 minutes until she goes on. That leaves less than 20 minutes before the audience begins to throw her flowers. Still, I can't believe it's turned into another game of tag. What a spirited young woman. Very well. Catch me if you can.
The arena speakers announced the competitor's entrance. After a brief cheer, the crowd quieted again like an ebbing tide. It was about time for her to stop running around. Nevertheless, she couldn't bring herself to give up. After all, there were less than 20 minutes before the end of Kanon's performance. Uribe called again.
We've got 3 over here. What about you?
2. Neither of them are Maou.
What the fuck is going on here? God damn it!
Haru began to think. She needed to stay calm. She braced her gut to resist being overwhelmed by the situation.
If this keeps up, we're gonna be stuck with no choice but to rush the ice the moment Miss Kanon-chan's performance ends. We gotta protect the young miss.
That happens, there'll be an uproar. Rumors will be plastered all over the front page. Still, Kanon's life is the most important consideration. Suddenly, another black cap appeared in the corner of Haru's vision. That makes 6.
Hey, Usami-chan.
Haribe said, as the once fading anxiety grew stronger again in his voice.
You sure you got your facts straight?
Pardon?
Well, I mean, your man Maou knows that Senjou got caught, right? Then why would he have still worn the cap? Don't you think he would have realized his goon had spilled the beans?
If that was the case, then why did so many people wearing the caps appear? Haru checked out the 6th man while talking. But you're absolutely right, Uribe said. Maou must have known that Senjou told us something. And following from that, it would have been fine for him to just show up as himself. After all, we have no idea what he looks like. But if he wasn't planning on wearing the cap, there'd be no reason to prepare decoys. Yeah, there was, to distract your attention.
So, what does that mean?
That, Haru still didn't know. That's a dumb question. What use would it be to have all these decoys? Well, where's all your attention? On the decoys, not on somebody who's not wearing a cap. I mean, that's dumb. Why would Maou bring these decoys here? The more accomplices he uses, the more chances there are for a perfect crime to be ruined. Decoys must bring him some benefit that's more enticing than the obvious risks. Perhaps he was trying to outwit Usami and the rest by thinking one step ahead again. Right now, Maou is probably capless, casually watching the performance. There you go! However, as Usami told Uribe just moments earlier, that would defeat the purpose of the decoys. Oh, not really. That would make his pursuers go restless, which in turn makes the security guards more than a little antsy. Security guards on edge would undoubtedly make things harder for Maou when he tried to escape after throwing the bomb, wouldn't they? Well, they'd be antsy anyway after a bomb. I don't know. Let's chase down the cats. Round them all up. Oh come, lovely child. Oh come thou with me. For many a game I will play there with thee. The simplest answer was that Maou really is just playing a game. Wouldn't be surprising, seeing as how the situation mirrors the Miwa family's kidnapping in many ways. Maou took their ransom in a glorious farce, despite the risks, and hiring the decoys might simply be a similar act of flamboyant confidence. Then again, that confidence would suggest that Maou exists somewhere amongst the caps. He's saying, "Catch me if you can." First girl must have just finished her run. A wave of passionate applause rang out and faded again.
Ellipses. Megalipses. I retrieved the backpack from the locker at the end of the hall. Its contents had been prepared well in advance. Explosives and computer-controlled detonation equipment. Technology has made the world so convenient, hasn't it? Man's progress has reached a point that even bombs come in user-friendly versions for us laymen. It cost a pretty penny, but I'd call it quite a bargain considering the worth of a human life. Step by step, I continued to move. I glanced at my watch. It's almost time. Usami should be flustered beyond belief right about now. But the more anxious she gets, the cooler her head will get, and the harder she'll search for me. And of course, she would. Kanon's life is at stake after all. However, that girl still has a long way to go. I mean, just look at all the special service I've been giving her, and yet she still hasn't caught me. Oh? Ellipses. Looks like I've played a little too much.
Haru stopped her restless footsteps. The security guard had just come to question her. After an apology and an excuse, she had immediately gone after the cap in front of her again. At this point, she just hoped that this would be the last one. Based on Haribe's most recent figures, this was the 10th cap and code. Even if there were more decoys than this, her time was pretty much up. Kanon's performance was starting. Ride of the Valkyries echoed throughout the arena. The applause rose to ridiculous volumes a countless number of times. Kanon's popularity was truly a thing of wonder. Haru caught up with the cap. At this distance, she could reach out and touch him. Mao's silhouette came to her mind again. The tall, lean man in front of her matched her memory rather well. "Excuse me." Surprised, the man's shoulders shook. "Is that you, Mao?" He seems to know Japanese at least. Man, keeping his back to Haru, stopped moving. He carried a backpack on his left shoulder. "You are Mao, aren't you?" Haru moved. She reached out, trying to grab the man's arm, but she caught only air. The man suddenly broke into a sprint. Haru gave chase, refusing to let him escape. She ran with all her strength and finally cornered the man into a dead end. He stopped running and slowly turned as he caught his breath. He had balanced features. A big nose, perhaps, but sharp eyes. Haru moaned in regret. This man wasn't Mao. He clumsily started to explain that he didn't have a camera. Inside the arena, the average spectator isn't permitted one. Everything was explained after she looked through his bag. It was a false alarm entirely. He was simply a young man that wanted to sneak a photo of Kanon. So what am I supposed to do now? Haru stood motionless, trying desperately to rouse her lost self. Kanon's performance was over. It was all over. At last, the audience gave her a standing ovation. Oblivious to her plight, Kanon showed her appreciation for the audience while doing a half-lap around the rink. Before she completes her round, the flowers thrown for her will bring them a bomb of terrible destructive power. If this keeps up, everything will end before Haru gets a chance to do anything. Just like the time she disappointed Tsubaki. Just like the time her mother died. How strange. At the last second, Haru regained her focus. The sounds around her no longer reached her ears. Indeed, the entire situation was strange. Now she thought about it, everything seemed horribly wrong. There was a discrepancy. She had been confused about it ever since Azai Gonzo approached her with the letter. Haru reconsidered the whole incident from the beginning. Suspicious points, which had been like a skyscraper in a rainforest, became unnoticeable as the forest grew. In an instant, Haru's scattered thoughts snapped into a single, straight line. Still, there's no evidence. Haru didn't even blink. It was as if she couldn't move at all. And at last, the roar of the crowd penetrated her concentration. The screams mixed into the din slowly eroded through Haru's eardrum. She could have sworn they were mocking her, frantically shouting, "Usami lost,"